If you're listening to this or watching this, you are part of the Resistance. And what does that mean? That means the base is open and it is time for the Resistance broadcast. Welcome back, everybody. I'm John. How are you? Thanks so much for joining us today on this Monday. Is it a trailer day? We don't know. Maybe, maybe not. We're just back from New York.
Just drop?
Did the trailer is the trailer dropping later tonight? Or maybe it's next week? Or maybe, who knows? We'll find out. Yeah. But we're not here to talk about trailers. If you want that, go get our guesses last Thursday and watch that video again, comment on that video again. But you're here with us now, and today we have a lot of news to talk about. And with me, as always, James and Lacey. Guys, New York Comic-Con is come and gone. Force Friday is come and gone. Now we're looking ahead to other stuff. How you doing? Are you ready to talk about Star Wars?
Yes, I actually just got back from Asheville, Tennessee. Went to a wedding. So this weekend, I hope no one noticed, the base was unattended.
Did you leave the key under the mat?
James.
Yeah. I put my faith in technology. When I walked out, I said, "Hey Siri, lock the door."
And close the base.
Yeah, close the base. Did we ever figure that out? Like, the bay door 9 is closing. You remember that whole discussion?
We have to name our base door. I guess. Yeah. Oh, I don't know. Yep. So Lacey, did you have fun at Comic-Con?
I did have fun at Comic-Con. Did you have fun at Comic-Con?
I had a great time at Comic-Con. My favorite part was watching the Yankees. Am I supposed to say that?
Yeah.
Did they win or lose, John?
You know it, buddy.
But if you want more of what we did at Comic-Con, you can probably check out our YouTube channel.
I've been doing this bow and arrow thing lately.
You have.
Yeah. Do you guys like that?
I stopped doing this. I'm very proud of myself. Mm-hmm. I stopped doing
Do you guys like the bow and arrow thing?
No.
It reminds me of a band that is from my area called Foxy Shazam. They're not a band anymore, but one of their signature moves. One of their signature moves was the singer was doing a bow and arrow thing. Mm-hmm. Like this.
All right, we'll never do that again.
If it sounds dumb, go look up the band and you'll understand.
Okay, I'm officially never doing that again.
All I'm picturing is all these X-Wings flying in and it being like gold leader, red leader, and then John flying in being like, shot Foxy Shazam.
On a Han. Like.
Hashtag Foxy Shazam in the comments.
All right, that works for me. Foxy Shazam. Yes. All right, guys. We're going to talk a little bit about a guy named Babu Frick. We're going to talk a little Joel Edgerton maybe coming back. We're going to talk about a lot of stuff. But first, the poll results. And we have 2 to get into. So let's do it right now. All right. Our first poll was via Star Wars Newsnet. And we retweeted that. I can't talk today. Retweeted that. Okay. And we asked, if Star Wars continues the trend of releasing trailers during Monday Night Football in October, which Monday do you think we'll see the trailer for The Rise of Skywalker? October 7th, 14th, 21st, 28th. And the winning vote was October 14th, so 1 week from today, 47%, so about half the people out there. That's my pick. I believe that was our picks. So we'll see how things shake out. October 7th and the 21st tied for 21%, and the last October 28th, the end of the month, only 11%. So most people thought the 14th, kind of like us. Not too surprising to me. It seems to be the logical pick there, right? Yeah? I don't think we need to talk too much on that one, right? Mm-hmm. Yeah.
The thing for me is the fact that we actually kind of talked a little bit about this on the... as a Patreon poll on our Patreon. We did a little thing about this. And the scores were the same as far as who was the winner, but they were a little bit different when it came to some of the other scores. So, kind of an interesting little thing there. It's interesting that the October 21st and the 7th both tied.
Yeah. And it's not a shock to me that the 28th was in last. 1, because it's the furthest away, so that bums people out. And 2, just logically, I think people think they want to get that out sooner than later so they can really roll out the marketing and get the ticket sales going and all that kind of stuff. So we'll find out. If it's obviously, if it's happening tonight, it would have been announced yesterday. Spoiler alert, behind the curtain, we recorded this before that. But I don't think it's today, so I'm not too worried about it.
If, you know what else if it is, we'll do a reaction.
Yeah.
On the 28th, I wonder how that lines up with people going out to trick or treat. Because sometimes it's a little bit earlier in some areas.
Do people trick or treat 3 days before Halloween?
Yeah, can be. Yeah.
Really?
We had 4th of July fireworks on June.
Oh, that's
30th.
different. Halloween's Halloween.
Yeah, Halloween's always on the 31st.
Yeah.
But Beggar's Night is not always on the day. It's usually
What night?
before the holiday. Beggar's Night.
Never heard of that.
What?
That's when you go out trick or treating. You go on Beggar's Night.
No, you go trick or treating on Halloween.
On the 31st.
No, you don't.
Yep.
Nope.
In Connecticut, you do.
In the comments, let us know what day of the year you go trick or treating.
I don't think it's a question. It's in some communities. I'm sure there are. You do fireworks on the 4th of July. Yeah, always, absolutely, always. But like
Completely
not
different.
always.
Completely different.
No,
they
it's not.
They like to do fireworks on the weekends around 4th of July. Trick or treating is whether it's a Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. It's Halloween. But
yeah, it's usually the 31st. And
I'll say this.
And it shifts every year. So
to
it's
that
like on
to that
Saturday
one
morning.
guy in the comments who's going to be like, James, I know exactly what you're saying. I'm going to like the hell out of your comment and reply to you that you're the man. But anyway, we have another poll to get through, guys.
We do. Go for it.
Babu Frick, who was born on Halloween.
Oh my God. So cute.
He wasn't born on Halloween. But will he speak basic, aka English, or another language in Star Wars The Rise of Skywalker? We asked, give you guys 4 options. Yes, he does, or it's another language, or he speaks both English and another language, or he won't speak at all. Little Silent Bob action. Silent Babu Frick. All right. The winning vote was another language at 36%. So I think people are trying to steer away from these aliens constantly speaking English. Second place was basic. Third place, English and another language. They couldn't decide. That's fair. That's fine. And fourth place, only 7% said he won't speak at all. So I'm hoping another language also. I don't mind a little subtitles, maybe even like a cute little dialect to go with his like cute little persona and stuff like that. Instead of him just being like, "Hey, how you doing? I fixed the droids over here. Hey, how you doing?" You know. What do you guys think? What'd you vote for? I think I know what James voted for, but Lacey, what about you?
I voted for another language. Because I just picture him having like a cute gibberish language like Jawas. I don't picture him speaking English, but at the same time we had Rio Durant who spoke English, and then we had
Rio
Proxima.
Durant, he was just John Favreau.
Yeah, and then Proxima who was just like, "Don't do this, Kira." It was
That's
just
a rock in
weird.
your hand.
That one was a big mistake in my opinion.
That's why I didn't do so well.
It's about you, Kira.
That's not
So
bad. Yeah.
Thank you so much.
All right. James, what'd you vote for?
I think I actually voted for English, or maybe English in another language. I can't remember.
What?
Really?
I'm so surprised by that.
Yeah, I don't know, man. When I was looking at the poll, it didn't make any sense to me. I was like, nah, you know what they're gonna do. But then you guys started talking to me about it, and I was like, oh, I guess so. I guess that kind of makes sense. I guess I just pictured when I think of him talking in a different language, it wasn't so much like cute animal voice. It was like or something, and I'm like, that doesn't seem like him. Like they'll probably just have him speak English. But then when we started talking about it more like a higher pitched sound effect kind of thing, I was like, oh, okay, well, maybe.
All right.
Don't throw it
Like
all
Huttese,
away,
you can
James.
almost hear that it's a foreign language. But when we were talking about like Jawas, for instance, they don't really sound like they're speaking a language. They just sound like they're saying like random words.
Sometimes
noises.
with their inflection and their body language, you know what they're saying. Like they'll be like, bah, 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 you know.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And then that sort of wins me over on he'd speak a different language, but not like, I don't know.
All right.
Not like a normal other language. I'm
You
not
know who
dragging
does
this is
speak
dumb.
English? Our best.
Oh,
comment.
I just wanted to mention too, I looked it up too, and in my area there are Beggars Night all the way back to the 26th. So just throwing it out.
Good for those 3 people who don't want to trick or treat Halloween.
These are communities of people. I looked up Dayton Communities Beggars Night, and it had a whole huge list of probably 30 or 40 different communities.
All right.
Most of them are on the 31st. You're not wrong, but I'm saying some go back earlier.
All right. Well, let's move the train on down the track here. And
all right.
Best comment went to Jay Surage
BC.
at Jason Lee 6342, and Jay said, "What will he speak? English? Should he? No. Should be alien with English subtitles." So I'm kind of on board with that. Good job, Jay.
What language do you speak? Alien.
Yes, I speak alien, pure alien. All right. Good job, Jay. Thanks for that. And keep those comments coming on our polls, and you could become a part of the show next Monday. All right, James, we have a bunch of stories to get into, so let's crack open a can of Resistance Report.
It's the Resistance.
All right, well, we got quite a few stories. He just cracked open the can.
Yep.
We got quite a few stories. Yes, Chris Terrio. I don't know if you guys have heard of him or not.
You
but
did
he
the
is
thing!
Writing, hey, yeah.
A little old movie.
It's a little different, though.
Yeah, I know.
Because I think that people maybe haven't heard of him or don't recognize the name.
Well, now we have to.
He is
now we have to tell them
the
what we're talking about.
co-writer.
Yeah, he's the co-writer
of The Rise of Skywalker.
Yeah.
And he was doing an interview recently and brought up what the I don't know, what his focus was, I guess we could say. And he stated that it came down to two simple questions: who is Rey, and how strong is the Force? He answers the questions, but the overall emphasis of, or at least he doesn't answer the question, but he sort of gives his why those were the important reasons to focus on those questions. And then he just kind of leaves us with so when you're watching the movie, know that these were kind of the answers that we wanted to provide you. So Lacey, I'm starting with you. Do you have anything to add to this? I know that you were kind of uncertain what he was trying to convey in this interview.
Yeah, so the interview is a little dicey for me in the sense that I was misunderstanding what the point of this because I find lately, I don't know what it is with these websites, and I know the bigger thing is ads and clicks and whatnot. They're breaking up these stories that could be one long story into these little tidbits for Monday we put out this one quote and Wednesday we put out these two quotes. So I'm trying to piece together all these random pieces of the puzzle throughout the week of all these different outlets that are just trying to stretch whatever they can get about Star Wars because they know they're going to get crazy clicks from it. So when I read this initially, I was like, okay, so the point is that he's answering these two questions. Okay, the article doesn't make sense in my head because I'm like, okay, what is he doing? He's answering these. Okay, done. But before we recorded, we talked a little bit about it, which we're discussing now. But I guess the bigger picture here is he's answering who is Rey and how strong is the Force. And yes, he does answer those questions in the movie, and he doesn't give any details of how he answers them. But the idea that those two questions are what are being asked is important because the big thing everybody's been wondering since The Force Awakens is who is Rey? Is she related to someone? Where did she come from? Who are her parents? And we thought we had the answer to that in The Last Jedi, but then for him to throw this back out there, it's a big question mark again of oh, I thought we had the answer. Oh, we don't? So what does that mean? And then the second part of that, of how strong the Force is, to me, I immediately think, okay, then we're going to see new powers that we haven't seen before, or new different Jedi stuff that we've never seen, which is kind of cool. But yeah, I mean, at first I didn't take that away. I was like, okay, this is a throwaway article because I'm he just said what the clickbaity title was. But anyway.
Yeah, I was kind of with you on the who is Rey because I understand what you're trying to accomplish,
right.
kind of an understanding or a narrative of your main character, but couldn't to some degree every movie do that? Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, who is Charlie Bucket? You know what I mean? That was the question that we were trying to ask, who is Charlie? And he's
a kid with the lazy grandparents. That's who he is.
Yeah.
Get out of bed.
So
not Grandpa Joe.
I do kind of got that. So it says to me that they were trying to put a lot of focus on Rey, and make her the protagonist, tell her story. Yeah. Let's where's the connectivity to, and why is she important? And I get that. But I kind of walked into that expecting that. The Force thing is interesting to me because it did make me feel like they were saying, this is the last one. Like, forget all the other Star Wars movies. I know they're making other Star Wars movies. It doesn't even matter. Like, I, as a writer, feel like I'm writing the conclusion to this. So let's push it to the limit. Like, let's see what we can do. How powerful is the Force? And that's why I think you are going to get some of that crazy stuff at the, at that final fight. You know what I mean? Right. When George Lucas was writing the Yoda versus Sidious thing, he's like, oh, we're going to put him in this location and this location, and we're going to be throwing these buildings and all this crazy stuff, right? Because he was like, how powerful is the Force? Let's push it to the limit. And I feel like JJ now gets that opportunity to close it as well.
Like stuff we've never seen. That's all I can think of. It's like things I can't even imagine.
Yeah, which why I think it makes sense that like we've already kind of opened the door to the idea that like two people in two different locations are having this conversation. Why can't those two people be fighting with a lightsaber? Like, oh, okay, they're not even on the same planet or something, you know, weird stuff like that. I don't know that that's the thing. I'm just saying that's something the Force could probably pull out of left field, considering we've seen like time travel and all sorts of crazy stuff too. John, what were your thoughts on this? I mean, are you on the same page as us, or do you think he's trying to convey something different?
Well, the Rey thing, I don't think it's looking back. I think it's still looking ahead. I think it's now that the master is gone, you know, the whole thing, this is your fight. We passed on everything. So now who is Rey from this point forward? Who does she become? Does she become the next Jedi like Luke prophesized when he was talking to Kylo Ren? Does she take it in a different direction? Does she accept it? Who is Rey? To me, is looking forward. And that's what they're trying to answer now. You know, it's been a year since TLJ. Who has she become? Who is she? And maybe even despite her past, who is Rey? You know, she may have, there may be things we learn about her, because JJ said there's still more to that story to tell. There may be things we learn about her that would have steered her, if she stayed with whoever those people were, that would have steered her in a bad place, and not necessarily with the Force, but who knows? Maybe she would have died or something. So I think it's in spite of her past, perhaps, that she is becoming who she is now. So I think that's the question they want to answer. And I think it's very important that they're focusing on her, because a lot of people brush her aside because of Adam Driver and Kylo Ren. She is our main protagonist. She is the hero of this trilogy. And I think JJ realizes the importance of that. Ryan definitely put both her and Kylo Ren front and center stage. But I think JJ's really going to put a lot of focus on her in this movie, and I'm excited for that. And again, they don't mention Kylo Ren here, and I find that interesting. I think he's going to have a big arc and a big close, but the two driving points for this movie are who is Rey and how strong is the Force. Maybe Kylo Ren plays into the Force part, sure. But I agree with you, James, in terms of what is the threshold of the Force? Are we going to find out what the limit of the Force is, or is it just they're going to take it as far as they can, and maybe one day we're going to see it even go further? The only thing that scares me is manipulating drama. So, and what I mean by that is, if you could bring someone back from the dead, then characters' deaths don't mean as much anymore. Or if you can fight via Skype, then physical fights don't really matter anymore. And that's almost like the world we live in now with technology. It's like, you know, you don't really have to go to work anymore. You can work from home. You can fight with your lightsaber via, you know, the
Force timing.
Force internet. Yeah. So I'm curious how far they take that. That might be a little wishy-washy with me. But we've seen shades of it growing with Yoda manipulating it physically, and then Luke obviously projecting himself. So I'm curious what we see here in this one. But I like that they're addressing both of these questions. So I feel like Terrio, you know, we keep saying JJ this, JJ that, JJ this. I think this guy's adding a lot in the mix. And let's not forget, yeah, he did the Batman stuff that people didn't like, but he won an Oscar for writing Argo, and that's no slouch. So I'm interested what he adds in the mix with JJ that maybe Larry Kasdan did differently with TFA.
Yeah, it is interesting, John. I really like the point that you made where you said that they weren't putting a lot of focus on Kylo Ren. You know what I mean? Like one of the questions wasn't like, what does it mean to be on the light versus the dark? It's or like, who is Rey? Who is Kylo Ren? And what is the capability of the Force? Like, it wasn't a 3-part question. It was 2 questions. Who's Rey? You know, just single. So that is kind of interesting. That's a perspective that I hadn't thought of before. Although I will also mention this too, because you said, you know, what does it mean when somebody's in a different area? It reminded me, Vader and some of these people choke people from long distances and stuff as well. It's not like it hasn't been in Star Wars before. A physical act I think, you know, fighting or whatever can happen over a long distance like that. But,
you know, my feeling on the lightsabers, I feel like that's just a
Snoke pushing down.
I get that, using the Force, but the physical aspect of a lightsaber, I need lightsaber on lightsaber. It's hand-to-hand combat. It's a weapon. Like, I got to see it.
Yeah. All right. Well, we feel like we're on the path to figuring out who is Rey, but what we really all want to know is who is Babu Frick. Babu Frick is a new character that we got from, essentially StarWars.com. Now, they did also announce that they're going to be working with a large group of like major retailers and businesses, you know, that's like United Airlines and McDonald's,
big
and
brands,
Dannon and stuff like this. Porsche, Bose, and they're all working together to do all these different forms of media. But the big thing that they were all launching at the same time was some sort of, you know, connection to this Babu Frick. Lot of interesting things coming out of this characters. Couple theories squashed, new theories arose. John, we're starting with you on Babu Frick. What do you got?
So I'm trying to pull up the blurb now. So I'm trying to kill a little time. But first, the photo.
You got his sentence, his description. Is that what you're looking for?
Yeah. Do you have that right there?
I'll find you. Okay. I'll find it. You go ahead.
So first, the photo just immediately, and not just like the cuteness of it, but it screams Jim Henson to me. Like, it's clearly a physical, tangible creature. It's not a Maz Kanata situation where it's, you know, the face mapping or whatever you call it, the motion performance capture thing. This is a puppet Muppet, and I like that. And I'm curious how they're going to animate that. And he's like tiny and stuff, and he's cute, and he's got his little goggles and his little welding. Looks like he has a little welding hat on or something. So that immediately I was like, I'm in. Like, I love creatures like this. I love the shading of the light in the image. I think this movie's going to be beautifully shot with a lot of different palettes. But you know, that's taking away from, you know, the character itself here. But
the description, just to pull it up, because I got it here.
Yeah.
It says, a tiny Azellan, Babu Frick works among the spice runners of Kijimi and can reprogram or modify virtually any droid regardless of security measures protecting its systems.
Yeah, so that can mean a lot of things. A lot of people immediately go to C-3PO because they showed on the Triple Force Friday thing, they showed them together. They showed the 3PO figure with Babu Frick. Now, did they say they're being sold together?
They are. He comes in
They
the pack
are
with
being
C-3PO.
sold together.
Okay.
And the lighting of the room that he's pictured in here is similar to the lighting of C-3PO when he sits up.
And someone pointed out, I apologize who pointed this out, because I wish I knew your Twitter handle right now, but he's got these wires in his hand that someone said look like a lot of the wires that are in C-3PO's torso. When he like hit the naked part of his torso.
Maybe. I mean, they're red, blue, and
so that's
wires.
interesting.
Yeah. Or whatever.
I think he could be involved with R2 also. I think there's a lot of things this character could be a part of. But the fact that they said Kijimi is interesting because that's where we're going to meet Zori Bliss, I think, too. So we may get introduced to a couple of these characters here on this planet.
He probably comes with her.
But maybe. But the other thing is Azellan. Is there a planet Azella? Is there
no.
Is that a species?
Yeah, I looked it up earlier. Just
I tried to find it too.
Interested.
Yeah,
I wonder. And Zellan, I think, is a new species.
Okay, because some people are like, he looks like he's an Ardenian. I'm like, no, I don't think so. He's not like Rio Durant. But I don't know. I'm on board with this kind of thing because I feel like these types of creatures add just so much like fun and richness and warmth to these types of adventure stories. Like, you always want these types of characters along for the ride, especially sentient ones. Like, Porgs were fine, but ultimately they were like birds and I didn't feel like the connection there. I feel like this guy's going to kind of be in the mix with them, and I kind of dig that. So this is a good sign to me all through. And I even joked, people who hated The Last Jedi immediately fell back in love with Star Wars when they saw this photo. But we'll see.
Yeah. I also saw that a lot of people were praising how detailed the picture was and the fact that it looked more like a puppet rather than a CG character.
Right.
Now I don't think we've gotten any confirmation on whether it is a puppet or a CG character, but the fact the fact that we can't tell could also bring to light how good the CG is in this movie, you know?
Yeah. Yep.
Like you're looking at this image and you're like, oh yeah, that looks like a puppet. And you're like, yeah, it's all CG, completely CG character.
The one thing I'll say is Brian Herring tweeted something about meet Babu. Meet Babu Frick, and he does the puppeteering stuff. So that may lead you to maybe they do a mix. Maybe there's some CG when he's on someone's back. Maybe there's a puppet, like because they do a mixture of a lot of characters. Or like
his eyes are maybe CG or something.
Yeah, it could be something like that. Yeah.
Who knows?
Yeah.
Lacey, I hesitate to ask, but what do you think of Babu Frick?
Why do you hesitate?
Because
he's adorable.
You've been like, he's adorable.
He is. I just want to hug him. Although I'm not best friends with him like John is.
That's true. Go to Twitter. It's confirmed.
John has the longest name on Twitter right now because he is clearly his best friend.
Now I have to keep it because it doesn't make sense. So I have to keep it at least till this episode airs.
Well, anyway, he's adorable. I think he is a puppet based on just how he looks. I find it interesting he has 3 fingers and a thumb because that's such like an animation thing. They don't like doing 5 fingers because then it looks like too much if it's not a human. So they usually go with 4, which is kind of cute. I'm interested to see how big he is in the actual space because you have C-3PO and the action figure that comes with it is like itty bitty.
Right.
So I can only imagine.
Like the size of his head. So you're probably looking at a character that sits on a shoulder.
Right. Which is kind of fun because we saw those types of characters in The Last Jedi, like the drunk one that like puts coins in BB-8 was about that size. So, which is cool. But yeah, no, I'm interested to see what role he plays. I'm hoping it's a funny comedic role. I'd love to see this character be a little sassy with C-3PO, like with R2, maybe team up. But
Give me all that.
He looks Star Warsy. And someone had made a comment how he looks like a hairless cat with no nose, and I have to kind of agree. He looks like a pug or like a cat.
We talked about, what type of language he'll speak, but I'm also wondering if it'll be a situation where they get someone who's good at doing voice acting, and it doesn't have to be English, but someone... because they've gotten like Bill Hader's in to do stuff for BB-8. They've gotten, so I'm curious what he's going to sound like.
I still don't know if that's true or not.
Well, he said he did do stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, he said he did it, and then they said they didn't use any of the stuff he did.
No, he came up with the noises. I think they then replicated them.
But he said that JJ just was like, I used an iPad. Anyway, I'm not here to talk about that, but yeah.
My point being that I'm curious what he sounds like, less than does he speak English or this language, or is there a Zella language? So who knows? So I'm curious now that we've seen what he looks like. I'm dying to hear what he sounds like.
For sure. And I should have brought it up a little bit earlier, but it's not actually on the docket or anything. But we're kind of lightly skipping over the to go back to the other story, the gist of the Empire article. Like there has been a lot of photos that have come out of that. We've seen stuff with the Knights of Ren. We've seen stuff like with the Atom Driver and the like blue haze that is hitting all the stormtroopers and stuff. Anything that you guys want to add to something that came out of that?
I think it's clearly a ship taking off with the Kylo Ren picture. They did it in TFA when Han takes off at light speed and everybody gets blown back like Kanja Club. I think that's what it is. And
so do you think they would do it again? Or do you think... Okay.
I think
it's them escaping.
Yeah, I don't know what that is. But I don't really have anything to add to it. I just thought it was a cool shot. And it's weird that he's holding his helmet. Like, what would be causing him to take his helmet off?
But I did find it cool how he's clearly using the Force to stand up, though.
Yeah.
Clearly.
Babu is so cute.
All right, guys. Well, we can move on to the next story. We got Joel Edgerton, who was interviewed recently by Josh Horowitz, who's most notable from MTV News, but he does his own stuff as well. And he was sitting down with Joel Edgerton and mentioned that, he played Owen Lars, and there's a Kenobi series coming up. And Joel had a couple things to say about that. I'm pulling it up right here. Sorry. Should have had it ready. Okay, I like the idea of Uncle Owen and one of those guys. James. Whoa, no.
Yeah.
Hold on.
Yeah. So he didn't say much to Josh, but I pulled up in our article an interview from 2 years ago of him talking about coming back, and that's what this is.
He was sly with Josh, and Josh had tweeted, I've been around a lot of celebrities.
Oh.
Like, and with Josh, he was kind of like...
I don't know. And Josh said he had been around enough actors that can't talk about things to say it's definitely happening.
Right.
That was a Josh call of him being like, yes, it's happening, because he was so sly with me.
But I still recommend reading the quote from 2 years ago, showing how enthusiastic
So he says, I like the idea of Uncle Owen as one of those guys who has done some super cool but has just never bragged about it. My idea is that he could go out and have some adventure and then come back and slips back into that unassuming moisture farmer role. Everyone talks about Obi-Wan being so cool. Owen secretly knows that he was there, and he did some of that cool too. My pitch to all of them is there's definitely some Owen possibilities. This was, like John was saying, 2 years ago that he said this, and now knowing that, I actually think less of the... I don't know, like story that it was like, because it sounds like 2 years ago he was pitching for a job. He's like, of course I'd love to come back and play Owen, but if he said this recently, I'd be like, oh, okay, well then there's some merit to this, because they probably discussed him being on the show and he's like, yeah, Owen, But also just total side to this story, I totally disagree with that statement.
About his statement on Owen?
Yeah. You can't play a boring character and just try to be like, I think my boring character did some pretty cool stuff too.
Right.
I think he was on the adventures as well. You know what everybody says is Han, Leia, Chewie, and Owen Lars. They're just
You know why? I'm just going to jump in, because the reason why I remembered that interview. And I was like, man, this guy wants back in. And like, that's someone, like, you don't hear actors like just come out and be like, that's like Samuel L. Jackson talking about Mace Windu. I want back in. Like, he's not shying away from, I want to come back. There's ways to bring me back. Put me in this, put me in that. And now you fast forward to 2 years and he's like, this series is confirmed. Do you want to come back as Owen? And he's like, you know what that means to me? NDA.
Yes.
Locked.
Yeah.
Yes. So that's why I put the 2017 quote in the article and compared it to what Josh said. Now, the guy was all in for 12 years wanting to come back as Owen. Now they confirm the series and he's like, maybe. Can't talk about it. So I think there's zero doubt in my mind that he's going to come back for this series. I think you could put almost put it in ink that he's coming back as Owen Lars. Now, it's not going to be how he wants to do the narrative. It's going to be Owen how we think we're going to see Owen, being protective of Luke and being hesitant to have Luke be around Obi-Wan and get influenced, to get drawn into that type of thing, because he saw how bad that can get.
Sure.
But to me, he's 100% coming back.
Yep. All right, Lacey, what do you think on this article?
I completely agree. I also really trust.
I trust him too.
Josh, that's my brain working too fast, a lot, because he's really good at his job. He gets really good quotes from people. He's friends with a lot of these people. Like, he's just a really good interviewer. So I trust that he's getting proper information and he has good instincts. Like, if you're a good interviewer, you have the instinct to ask certain questions or know what to stay away from. And if someone's super comfortable, I mean, look at what he got out of Ron Howard. Ron Howard didn't talk about Solo at all, but he talked to Josh about Solo. So I think that's why I give this more weight than anybody else saying this, because he wouldn't tweet it if he didn't think that. And he's one of the best like movie specific interviewers out there, if not the best, I think.
Yeah.
I saw an interview with him, totally unrelated. It was like Marvel or something, right?
Yeah.
It wasn't Star Wars. But he was interviewing somebody and was like really putting them on the spot on a specific question and got what he wanted out of them. And I was like,
he's
that's
very
interesting.
good.
I mean, that could sound like he's being pushy or something, but it was definitely like the person was friends with them where they're like, Josh, stop asking this question because I can't say, or whatever. And then they were all like laughing about it, Yeah. And I was like, so he's getting the answer by causing the person to be like, I can't tell you,
Right.
It was good. Yeah.
Well,
and this
like,
was kind of similar in that sense too, right?
Yeah.
When they're on that row and they have to walk down and talk to each outlet, it's almost like when they get to Josh, he's like, all right, I know you're probably tired of doing all that stuff. Let's you and I chat as friends. Let's give you a little breather here. And then he just picks the mic back up and he's like, bing, all right, let me get the info I need. He talks to them as though they're friends having, a cup of coffee as opposed to, so what do you think about coming back and doing blah, 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 blah. He makes it a casual vibe and warms them up.
Yeah, he never asks the softball-y
No,
how do you feel
he
questions.
doesn't. Yeah.
He does his research. He knows what he's talking about, and that's why I believe everything he's saying.
Yeah.
Because he takes the time to get the information.
Yeah.
I think they also trust him as a reporter in general,
Right.
and because they know who he is and stuff, so they give him the softballs. Like he's like, he might even ask a question like, what's it like playing Rey or whatever? And she's like, well, in episode 9, it's really good. But when you see episode 10, it's going to be crazy.
Yeah,
and he's got the exclusive there.
It's like Hagrid. I shouldn't have said that.
Can I tell you a funny
ask
story
that.
about Josh? I actually just thought of a really funny story. So when I worked for Reed Pop, his brother is Adam Horowitz, who did like Once Upon a Time, like on ABC and stuff. He writes, he produces and writes a bunch of stuff. So they had a panel for Once Upon a Time in one of the old ballrooms in the Javits Center. This was like 2, 3, 4 years ago. I think 3. So his parents were sitting in the front row, and I sat them in their seats, and they turned to me and they go, oh, our other son is coming. Our little Josh is coming. And I was just like, okay, well, where can I find little Josh? And they're like, he's outside. If you could just grab him and bring him up. Like, we really want Josh to sit with us. And I was like, okay, no problem. I'm thinking I'm going to look for a teenager. The way they talked about him. They're like, oh, yeah, his little brother is coming. And then I go outside and there's Josh Horowitz like, oh, hey, am I looking for you? And I was like, oh, you are not a teenager. You are a grown human being.
A grown human.
So then I brought in little Josh and sat with his parents, and I was like, this is weird.
Josh, you're a wonderful human being.
Yes, right.
It was just so funny because the way they were talking about him, I was like, I need to find this teenager outside, like roaming the Javits Center. It was not a teenager.
I'm curious if they ever did a video of this interaction with him and Edgerton, because then
maybe,
if you can get Edgerton's body language or maybe his eyes, like, dude,
or podcast,
like, dude, like, shut up.
It might have been on his podcast, maybe.
Oh, I didn't see. Did it say where he talked to him? No,
he said he was talking to him about a different movie and then slipped this in.
Yeah.
So
yeah, I mean, it'd be interesting to at least see the body language, facial expression, and see that can be quite telling too. So maybe we'll see that.
I just love that people are excited about the Kenobi project because we've been talking about it forever.
Yeah, like I ended the article by saying, like, whether he's in it or not, just relish in the fact that Obi-Wan Kenobi's coming back and it's Ewan McGregor. Like, that is incredible. But anyway,
he's the goat.
Have they interviewed the Sand yet?
What?
Have they interviewed the Sand to be like, so what have you been doing for 19 years?
Like they went to Tunisia and just put a microphone up to the dunes.
James, that is the weirdest thing you've ever brought up. Ever.
And the Sand is just like,
shows.
More action than that old hermit over there. He's just been sitting in his hut for 19 years.
James is just going to be hating on Kenobi for the next 2 years until it comes out. And then he's going to be like, this is the greatest lore deep dive series ever.
I will be 100% honest, John. You're right. Because to a degree, you're right here. Because look, it's not interesting at all to me. And when I see it, I'll go, okay. Like I will. I'm the bottom of the barrel right now. Nothing is interesting to me about it.
James.
So, yeah.
Do you know who? You know, if you were a bounty hunter, you'd be IG Hatey Hate.
Oh my gosh, John.
Segue.
Yeah, I'll tell you, I won't be IG-88. I'd probably be IG-11, but wait, I don't know what I'm talking about. I don't know where I'm going with this.
Maybe to the next story.
I think John just threw me off. Yeah, I was like, how do I take his segue and get to the next story? Anyway, Dave Filoni.
You guys handed off that baton and then dropped it.
Yeah.
It was a great handoff.
Dave Filoni was... See what's happening? I can't think when you're doing that. The IGN did an interview with Dave Filoni.
I love that it has. Hold on. I love that it has to be IGN and it's about IG the droids.
Yeah.
I think that's why he paused. He was like IGN.
John, your segue has ruined my life. They asked him why he didn't just go with IG-88, and he explained a little bit more about why he wanted to do IG-11, why they created that character. And the long story short of it is he said that IG-88 has had many stories, and when generally he's coming up with new Star Wars content, he likes to lean towards the new. So he would rather write new content for new characters than try to tread the grounds of what's already been told. So, Lacey, what do you think about the comments coming from executive producer Dave Filoni on the Mandalorian's character of IG-11?
It literally just sounds like Dave Filoni, where he's like, we want to do new things, we want to push boundaries, we want to be creative. Like, that's Dave Filoni, is always thinking of that next thing. He's always thinking outside that box. So I'm not surprised that he's like, oh, we wanted a character where we could go different places, because it just makes sense. What are you shaking your head for? You don't agree?
Because he's got some sort of paper that he's going to show here in a minute. He's all happy about it.
He's making a face.
Like, I'm drawing a thing. And then he's like, I'll just wait till I wasn't listening to what she was saying. I've just got
I heard everything she said. Unlike you not hearing
then you
me.
made a face. You're like,
unlike you
reacting to what she's
skipping over me saying Babu Frick was a puppet earlier. And you're like, well, I think he's going to be a puppet.
Who really listens? Dave Filoni.
Yeah.
Because there was one time I had a conversation with him about sandwiches, and he was in the convo more than you people.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
James would call that a sweet brag.
I had to throw it in there because you're not listening to me.
I listened to everything you said.
Okay, what'd I say?
It's just Dave being Dave Filoni and just being like, we want to do new characters and explore new things and space whales. And then IG-11's new, and it's just Dave being Dave, and he's the GOAT.
I saw him like nail it and then fall off on the space whales thing, so he rounded back out.
I just said space whales
again.
That was a space whales little jab at Filoni. That's all. But yeah, I have something to say to Dave Filoni.
What'd you draw?
BS?
BS, Filoni. That answer was 100% BS. All of this. All BS. You know why? They couldn't use IG-88 or Boba Fett or Bosk or these other characters because when this project was accepted, they were developing Bounty Hunters and a Boba Fett movie at the time. And those characters were probably already spoken for. So they're like, you can't use them. Now, Filoni's like, what can I do to make myself be endeared with the fans? Oh, I'll just say, I respect the expanded universe and the journeys that IG-88 went on, and that's all. I respect all that. So we created a new character, and then fans are like, Filoni, yeah, you get us, yeah. But the real answer is they couldn't use IG-88, so it doesn't matter. The end.
I don't know.
Just to recap, John didn't listen to me.
Yes, I did. I did.
Then he mocked me. And then after that, he goes, Lacey's answer was trash, and here's why. No,
not your answer. His answer. Dave Filoni's answer. It's a PR answer. That's what I mean. I'm busting chops saying it's BS. It's a PR answer. They couldn't, I don't think they could use IG-88. But
I also think he believes what he said, though, because he wouldn't say it if he didn't believe it.
Yeah, I didn't put all that together, John, about like when it was approved and the stuff, but I kind of tend to lean towards the same thing you're saying, which is I really, really feel like they wanted to use Boba Fett and IG-88.
Well, wasn't it confirmed that Favreau pitched Boba Fett?
What?
Wasn't that confirmed? Favreau said he pitched Boba Fett, and they said they couldn't do it. I think he said that in an interview.
I think so. I don't remember.
Not that I remember specifically,
hearing
but
that.
You might be right. But I mean, we've talked about this so many times about how like it's just Boba Fett, like it, and I hate to say that because this character is going to be so like maybe similar to a certain degree, but like I don't know, like you can't just say this character is the same as that character. You know, they're going to have their own defining qualities. You know,
Right.
Like we're talking about how Cal has a similar story to Kanan, but I guarantee you Cal's going to be totally different from that character, even though they have the same basic idea story, right?
Yep.
So I feel like once we get into these two characters, you're going to go, oh, those are entirely different. But right now, while we don't know much about them, it really strongly feels like they wanted to use those characters and they weren't allowed. So they were like, all right, well, we'll basically kind of do it, but we'll figure out a couple ways to make them go down a different path. You know, and maybe that's a voice or a character personality, especially in IG-11.
And I don't want people to think like, oh, I'm just hating on, Filoni here, but he's in the producer chair now for a big Disney project. Like he needs to put on the producer hat and say producer things, which are a lot of PR stuff. And I'm not saying he doesn't believe in what he's saying or whatever, but good for him to put that spin on it. If my take is right, like I would too. I would say, yeah, we respect what's been done. Like, of course you're going to say that because you want to make everyone happy. So I think what he did was exactly what you should say.
Sweet.
Are we good then?
Yeah, I'm good. Yeah.
All right, Scoundrels Rundown it is. Let's get this Falcon going. It hasn't been running for 2 weeks.
Okay. Well, we did our Patreon call with our admirals and generals, and one of our patrons actually took his phone on via Skype into the cockpit. So now we know exactly how to run this thing. So we're going to do it on the count of 3. Ready? 1, 2, 3. Punch it!
Punch it!
All right, guys. You can win a ticket to the premiere of The Rise of Skywalker. And how do you do that? Every day from when until when? So like today, last week?
It's from the October 2nd to October 8th.
So they have until tomorrow. You can tweet the hashtag The Rise of Skywalker sweepstakes and include @StarWars. And you can enter to win a ticket to go to the premiere in December of The Rise of Skywalker.
And Celebration, I think.
And Celebration. Yeah, so you have today and tomorrow. Send those tweets. I guess it counts for each day. So get your entries in on Twitter. And hashtag The Rise of Skywalker sweepstakes and include @StarWars. And then if you do those two things, you are entered. So good luck to everybody. Next, Ian McDiarmid has replaced Sam Witwer as the voice of Palpatine in new versions of Rebels. James, you actually did you put together that comp? That clip?
Yes.
So, Jake, go to Myra Trunks.
You saw it on Reddit.
Yeah. You saw it on Reddit, okay.
I saw it on Reddit, and then I saw that in the comments that somebody said, here's the original, and I decided to go in, rip both of them, put the two together, put it on Twitter, and then Sam saw it.
All right, so we'll have James retweet it, so it's at the top of his profile there, but you'll be able to listen to both versions, and I was shocked that I was able to really tell the difference when you put them back to back. Sam did a great job, but man, if McDiarmid just isn't Palpatine, I don't know what to say. But next up, Rian Johnson is still talking to Lucasfilm. That's the quote. That's the latest quote from Rian Johnson, so we can cross off our quota for October. We'll see you in November, Ryan. That is the end of the Scoundrels Rundown. Now we're going to send it over to Lacey to get through your questions and Ask the Resistance. So, Lacey, what are they asking this week?
Well, isn't Chewie gonna...
Oh, crap. Chewie. Forgot. Chewie! Get us out of here.
All right, guys, it's time for Ask the Resistance. And I would never forget Chewie, so he is now no longer in John's crew.
Well, I moved on to Babu Frick. We've all talked about this.
You guys have some Star Wars questions. Hopefully we have some pretty good Star Wars answers.
I've been wondering, what are midichlorians?
The first question comes from Jim Corbett at JCorbETT.
What up, Jim?
Hi, Jim. He asks, will we see a Betrayal, The Rise of Skywalker, in The Rise of Skywalker, like Lando in Empire? Someone who appears to be with the Resistance and then helps the First Order. Ladies first. So I'm going to say no, because we saw that betrayal in The Last Jedi with DJ. And I think if we see that again, it's not only a repeat of that, but it's also a repeat of Empire. And we've talked about it a little bit on the show, where I think, at least, JJ's like super nervous about repeating things because of what he got, the flack he got for The Force Awakens. So I don't think you're going to see story beats like that where he repeats things that are like very memorable in the original trilogy again. But it is a good question. I don't know who that person would be. Maybe Zori, but it seems like she's pretty...
Imagine Lando does it again.
Oh my gosh. Because they're like, again?
Ryan's like, I'm going to kill Luke Skywalker. JJ's like, hold my beer. Turning Lando bad.
Again. But thank you for your question. Next is Craig at X-Wing. No, X-Wing Crossing. So it's X-Wing Xing.
Oh.
Yeah.
Nice. I didn't notice that.
Yeah. He asks, what musical themes or motifs from prior Star Wars movies do you think will show up in The Mandalorian, if any? James, this one's going to go to you. You're our music guy.
So I pointed out that when the Mandalorian trailer came out, I wasn't like blown away by the music. I was like, yeah, it's straightforward. Right. It's kind of stock. It doesn't really go someplace. A lot of people really liked it. They were like, oh, it's so full of tension and all this other stuff. And I was like, it's just basics. They're just, the basics there. But I do expect that it will go to some pretty interesting places, and I have a lot of faith in that. The one thing I will say about them using specific Star Wars motifs, I don't know. They did this with Rogue One, and at first I didn't like it, and then I kind of came around to it. But I really don't think you're going to see a whole lot. I think they're going to try to keep the score to what it is, and very rarely you might get a little bit of the main theme.
Who's doing it? The guy from Black Panther?
The guy from Black Panther, yeah.
Yeah.
Ludwig something.
I know his name, but I can't think of it off the top of my head. But yeah, I would say only the main theme, I think, will find its way into that. And for the most part, this guy has the opportunity to kind of put a stamp on his own music being Star Wars content. So I say that's fine with me.
Nice. Next is Dynasty of the Force at Force_Herald. And they asked, what's your favorite subgenre and how would you integrate it into a Star Wars narrative? John.
I like revenge movies and mystery movies, like a whodunit. If I had to pick one, we've already done Revenge. The Revenge of the Sith. A mystery, I think, would be cool. Like, kind of like who stole this artifact, and we had to find out who killed this person, or this Jedi was killed, and we had to find out who it is, and kind of see Jedi doing like detective work. Obi-Wan kind of did some detective work in the prequels, but I think a cool mystery where at the end you kind of find out who done it would be an interesting take in Star Wars. So, and it doesn't even have to be Force stuff. We were seeing new stuff without Force users with Solo and Mandalorian. So I think that'd be an interesting type of story to see in the Star Wars galaxy. Mysteries. Who done it?
Yeah, absolutely. All right. Next is Thomas Sholin at Thomas Sholin. Hi, Thomas. He asks,
hey,
what are your plans for the Rise of Skywalker release? Do you need to see it in IMAX or another large screen format, 3D, regular, the first showing possible, or do you prefer a certain time? I'm going to have all of us answer this one. I'll go first. My plans are undecided as of now because we're trying to figure out if James is coming yet to Connecticut. But generally, I will see it the first showing that it's available. the day that it's available.
I
So
think-
that's probably Thursday.
I think James is coming, right?
I think so. I just haven't.
I have
mentioned
fingers
it to
crossed.
my wife
Fingers
yet.
crossed that James is coming. If he's coming, we're all
Yes.
seeing it the first showing.
Lacey,
which-
you have an extra bedroom in your house, right?
Yes.
No, I'm just kidding. James may be sleeping back there.
I don't know. This is a weird conversation to have. So
Is it?
anyway, it's a little weird. A little bit. Because it hasn't been decided yet. So that being said, first showing on that Thursday. I already took off the Friday to see it again multiple times, and I wrote to my other manager and was like, I'm not coming in caps. So that's my plan.
And they're like,
And I guess I'll see it in IMAX at least once. I find that I don't like 3D because I don't like wearing the glasses. I'd rather see it in 2D so that I don't have to wear those stupid glasses. They make me dizzy. And then if you look below a certain line or above a certain line, it just like throws off all your vision. So
I find I'm always cleaning off the 3D glasses because I'm like, they're never not clean. And I'm just constantly like, you know what I mean?
yeah. James?
When I went to go see Force Awakens, I was like, best experience possible. So I did IMAX 3D, and then every one after that, I've done IMAX 2D
Yeah.
because I was like, I want the big screen, I want the full picture, I want to know that everything's there. But I don't know. It has to be like a very specific movie or something for the 3D. And I wasn't really on board with this for a while, but now I'm really on board that I think the 3D thing is super gimmicky and will probably fall off soon. Because I don't even really feel like I hear it when they're advertising it anymore for big movies. Like, see it in IMAX 3D
Until
this
Avatar
weekend.
comes back out.
Yeah, maybe, but there's also the chance that they do something completely different and it's not 3D.
4D.
No.
Oh.
But
The
yeah,
thing
I
is,
think
like,
if we
3D,
were
you
going to go
just
do it,
see
we would all agree with IMAX 2D, right?
Yeah. And 3D is just depth. It's not like stuff pops out at you.
I would like to see IMAX 2D if we're deciding that now.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
With reserved
Yeah.
seats.
And
So
you,
we're all on the
you
same
guys are
page.
buying me my icy and popcorn. You just have to decide which one's buying which.
What?
John, are you a no butter or extra butter?
Oh, I butter it up. I don't do health at the movie theater, bro.
Gross. The butter's so gross.
And I've even heard of the straw technique where you put the straw in the popcorn and you
Ew.
get the butter down to the bottom.
so gross.
Then I'm gonna take my buttery hands and then just clap when Kylo Ren is laying dead.
It's so gross.
He's
the butter
like- he's
is
like,
literally
"Oh, it slipped."
disgusting.
I slipped. I can't even clap.
Oh, it slipped.
Yeah.
Ew.
Yeah, I like the.
I used to do the butter more.
Yeah.
I always said they said, how much butter? And I said, I would like to die of a heart attack before the movie's over, please.
There you go.
I always said that.
Gosh.
But I don't do butter anymore. It makes me sick and dizzy.
It's so gross. The
But I
butter
like
is
the flavor.
Yeah.
It's so
John?
gross. That filling of the butter, press the button, and then the people are like,
All right.
It's
I'm not
disgusting.
picking you to be on my team in charades, though. That's for sure. I don't even know what the hell you were doing there. I go 2D IMAX. I've done the 3D before. I like to do one subsequent viewing in 3D because I don't do the 3D home thing. So I'd like to watch it once in 3D just to do it. But initial run, I would love 2D IMAX, kind of like three quarters of the way up on the stadium seating. And as early, you said what time showing? The earliest one possible on the
It's
Thursday
usually 6.
previews. Yeah, because don't want to hear those spoilers barking throughout the theater. So, yeah, that's me. Yep. And hopefully the three of us see it together. And James will hit us in the face with pies because it's Kenobi. And then we'll put a bow on it and that'll be a day.
Nice. Guys, thank you so much for your questions. If you want to be on the show, make sure to follow us on Twitter at RBATSWNN. You can either tweet them directly to us or use the hashtag AskTheResistance. And you could be on the show. And we talk about your handle. We answer questions. It's fun. John, back to you.
Guys, thank you so much for watching, listening, being a part of the resistance, spreading the word of TRB. We know you're doing it. We see people tweeting saying, go listen to them, go watch them. We appreciate that so much. Keep it going. Keep telling your friends who like Star Wars about us because things are starting to really heat up now. We got the trailer right around the corner. maybe tonight. Who the hell knows? But it's going to be an exciting next couple of months. So join us for the ride. Make sure you are subscribed to us. iTunes, Apple Podcasts, SoundCloud, Spotify, YouTube, all that stuff. You can head to resistancebroadcast.com. That's where you can find out where to get one of our t-shirts, where you can subscribe to us. Pretty much everything, including our Patreon page, which is at patreon.com/resistancebroadcast. Tiers start at just $2 a month for page access. And then if you want to bump up to tier 2, $5 a month, you can become a part of the show by submitting topics that we talk about and give you shout outs and all that sort of thing. All the way up to tier 5, which is our generals. And I want to thank them specifically. Thank you so much to Carmelo, Brian Shalito, Andrew Staley, Neil Lowry, Jeremy Myers, Neil Shaw, who you're going to see on Thursday in the pod race, David Probus, John Reese, and Val Trichkov. Thank you, Generals, so much for all of your support. Also, guys, make sure you're heading to StarWarsNewsNet.com every day for your latest Star Wars news, reviews, editorials, information, and more. And you guys can find me on Twitter at Johnny Hoey and at Star Wars Newsnet. James?
You can find me at Myra Trunks on Twitter and Instagram. Do you guys remember the hard salute? Like when people are more serious about it, they go...
Oh, like the Jack Black?
Yeah, maybe. I think he does it.
Yeah.
It's a good one.
Right on.
Lacey, hard
wait,
salute.
let's all do a hard salute right now. Ready? 1, 2, 3. Yeah. All right, Lacey, when
it's like all off and laggy.
Lacey did the 2-finger slow salute. Lacey, where can people find you not doing the hard salute?
So people can find me on Twitter and Instagram at Lacey Giller. And really quickly, I said I would do this. So I am giving a quick shout out to everyone I work with. Ted, Ken, Ryan, Colleen, Christiana, David. I'm missing someone. Andrew. Hi.
Ted, Ken, Darla, Christiana, Michael,
Darla.
Andrew.
Who wants to be Andrew right now?
Michael.
What?
I'm missing somebody.
I'm missing
Andrew.
Kaio. Oh, sorry, Kaio. I was going around the room in my head, and I said I would give him a shout out, and I meant to do it at the beginning of the episode, and I forgot. So hi,
Now I've never been so happy to be Andrew.
Yeah. Andrew's the guy you want to be in this situation.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Is that it?
You guys are the best.
Do you have any
Bye.
more shout outs?
No,
James,
I never do shout outs.
James, any coworkers?
This is my one time.
No. I don't know that I know anybody that listens to our show.
How about this? Shout out to my brother, Matt, who's going to be 30 years old tomorrow. Happy birthday, Matt.
Baby boy Matt. Happy birthday, Matt.
Welcome to your 30s. All right, guys, that is it.
We'll be downhill from here.
We'll be back on Thursday morning where we are going to do a Kessel run talking about not things that are going to happen, this theory, that prediction. I called it, I own it. Nope. We're going to talk about 12 things that are not going to happen in The Rise of Skywalker. Because
when it doesn't happen, I called it.
I called it, it didn't happen. Yeah, so we'll see you guys on Thursday morning. Enjoy your weeks, and we'll see you on the Resistance broadcast next time. See you around, kids.
Bye.